So I was thinking about the conflict in the Middle East lately.
You know what I was thinking about?
What?
Hellboy, the Crooked Man. A movie we just
Now
got done
that's
watching.
a terrible thing to talk about.
Yeah. You want to talk about pain and
I
suffering?
want to talk about controversial.
So, hey, everybody, we just got done watching Hellboy, the Crooked Man. We decided, you know what? It's time to hang out. This movie just came out, and we were going to give it a shot. And so we did.
I mean, to be fair, did we give it a shot? Because I went in, I think I did give it a shot.
I did too.
Because I was thinking, there were things that I liked and things I didn't like while I was watching. So I guess we did give it a shot.
We did give it a shot. Would I recommend the movie? I don't know.
I wouldn't pay for it.
I did pay for it, and I wouldn't pay for it. So I think...
it's the newest sequel or prequel or reboot of the Hellboy story.
Dude, that is a good point. So this one, yeah, you know what? I think I'm going to say take a pass on it because, like, there's other better Hellboys. Like,
it's the Batman of the Hellboy. Like, where does it fit in?
Yeah. Oh, boy. So I will say, to the movie's credit, it did have a $20 million budget, which means somebody made at least $15 million off that movie. So kudos whoever embezzled all that money. Because
the directors, the producers, the executives,
they had
the
to pay,
key grip, the best boy.
They had to pay off the hill people so they could film in Appalachia without being attacked.
None of them talk, so they're all extras. That's $50 a day.
Yeah. Oh my God, they did. So no, I don't really recommend it. There are better Hellboys. Even in terms of like a lot of how this movie's put together story-wise, it is kind of all over the place and hard to follow. They assume they have a familiarity with the story that we as the viewing audience just don't have. So some like the jumps in like, well, this is what happens, this is what's happening. You're like, okay, but a little bit of like setup and payoff for this would have been nice.
Like they mentioned that Hellboy was found in a church in like
England,
X amount of years. They don't say how many years ago.
They didn't say how long ago.
And this is 1959. So if it was during World War II, like the other Hellboys, then he's, as you mentioned, 15 years old. So that would be weird. If I get
stung by a bee, keep filming. So
I will. I will not get that EpiPen.
Yeah, I don't need it.
You will.
Yeah. So they found us. Well, you know, that's one of the downsides to filming outside. But mercifully, I wasn't the target of this manhunt.
And during that cut, I got bit by a squirrel.
It was incredible. Went straight for his nuts. So anyway. Oh, speaking of body humor and horror, there's a lot of like references to like body fluids and body hair in Hellboy, so I guess that's on brand.
I guess.
That's one of the first things they teach us are what witch balls are. It's completely unnecessary.
They actually do a cut to witch balls, and then they have a blurry witch explaining to you how you...
Which is super
kill
jarring.
Newts and cats. And
it's incredibly jarring and wildly out of place.
Yeah.
And it's just like a momentum killer.
There's a few things like that.
Yeah.
Well, not really a few, I guess. I don't know. But that's definitely one of them. And maybe just the only one. But it's a big one, so
they also do like, there's a couple title sequences, but
there's two.
Is there a third one for when at the end of the movie? Do they even give us a third one? So it's just the two. It's witch balls and
the Lucky Bone.
The Lucky Bone.
So, I mean, when it comes down to it, this was written by Mike Mignola. And
Steel Magnolia himself.
And someone else. And he is the creator of the Hellboy franchise. And I recently read an article, because there's articles about Hellboy coming out, how he disliked the Guillermo del Toro ones.
No accounting for taste. Creators can be wrong.
Well, he disliked, I don't remember whether he disliked it as Hellboy or in general. And I think because it was Hellboy, he might have disliked it in general. He disliked them as a Hellboy either way. And when Guillermo was trying to get 3 made, he said, I don't really care. I don't really want you to do that because, like, I don't feel my story has been done justice. Huh. And so that's besides the budget. That's one of the reasons that Guillermo didn't like that, and so that was part of the reason that he moved on. From what I understand from that article.
Interesting.
And one of the things he hated about Hellboy 1 was how they had like the relationship.
Yeah, with him and
Liz? Liz.
Yeah.
Firestarter herself. And
Firestarter.
The Twisted Firestarter. And then in this movie, there's implications of a romance with Hellboy. So it's like, what? I've read the comics. Maybe
yeah,
that does
I don't know.
happen.
Like the romance implication is just like it's one line of dialogue, and then it's just like, and then they lean into it for that. You know what? I say this is 50% a watchable movie, and pretty much after the siege of the church is like where the movie devolves into like jump cuts from like here to here, here to here.
I can't tell if these are spoilers. I don't think they are, basically. At one point they're in a church and there's...
Yeah, I guess, yeah. You know what, we're just gonna, I guess, yeah, spoiler-free time is over.
Is it? Because I think we could talk about Mike Mignola and the cast.
The cast to this movie, relatively unknown. I don't really... I didn't think they did a particularly good job.
I don't think anyone did a good job except for Tom, who I thought did fine.
Yeah, hillbilly guy. Yeah,
the guy who like comes in from
the war. I'm back from the war. Which war? The war. Okay, sure.
Korea, I guess.
I would have had to have been at this point. So, yeah, he does fine, but he's also the only one who doesn't like stomp all over the place with their lines or like trying to sound cooler than they are.
That's true. His character is the only one that actually has like an arc.
Yeah, he's got his foot in both the real world and the magic world. Now you would think.
All right, let's just move to spoilers. Put a spoiler plate in there, and then star wipe it away.
I'm not using star wipe.
Star wipe it away. God damn it.
So the spoilers for this, I don't know. There's really not that much to talk about.
Well, I mean, so the first scene is just a terrible CGI train.
Oh yeah.
Followed by
terrible CGI spider.
A terrible CGI spider. A terrible CGI rolling of the train and rolling of people, and then they just end up in the Appalachian Hills and they're following witches.
Yeah, the witches. Some of the witches work for the Crooked Man, and some don't. It's pretty vague on who does what.
Yeah.
Because there's like a good witch we're supposed to like, and then there's bad
I thought she
witches.
was evil, and then she was like, "I love you, Tom," or something. You know, there was an implied relationship, and I was like, you know what? I don't mind. I think that their relationship is pretty cool because he's like, I was friends with her until I met
the other witch,
Elise.
Yeah, the other witch.
Yeah.
You know, like I was friends with brunette witch until I met blonde witch, and then blonde witch taught me and taught me the ritual of the Crooked Man. And then they have the lore for the Crooked Man. He profited off both the North and the South during the Civil War, so they hung him. And that's why he's crooked, because his neck is broken from being...
I think Mike Mignola was just like, I wish we could hang Samuel Colt for all he did in that war.
Maybe, I don't know.
Because that's kind of what Samuel Colt did.
Yeah, so then he makes deals with people, and he gets a coin for every person he sends to hell. Mm-hmm. So that's kind of his thing. He's in the movie, but not like, I don't know.
He's not really a character to me.
Yeah, he doesn't do anything.
He shows up and occasionally goes like this, and that's how you know he's a Crooked Man.
Yeah.
And then he says, "I'm gonna send you to hell and your mother's," and he talks like the Exorcist demon, basically. You're going to hell, and your mom is.
Yeah.
Your mother sucks cock in hell, like the fucking Exorcist kind of shit.
Yeah, and so they end up having to go to a church because Blonde Witch killed Tom's father. She turned him into a horse and rode him until he died, essentially, is the implication. Yep. So then he believes his father should be buried on consecrated ground.
And bear in mind that Blonde Witch is doing her best Sherry Moon Zombie. I just rewatched Halloween, and I watched Devil's Rejects like a month ago.
She is.
She is just doing Sherry Moon Zombie.
Yeah.
I'm a sexy witch.
I guess it kind of works that it's a little over the top, but you know, like it really...
It did not work for me.
Yeah, so they end up at the church to bury the father because he wants him to be buried at the church because it's consecrated ground. And then a whole bunch of like possessed witch people, like, do they have powers or are they just using the power of the Crooked Man? I don't remember.
They're Crooked Man's servants, whatever it is.
Yeah, and so...
They're witches for sure.
Yeah, sure. So then they're like, oh, we can't get into the church. And then this one woman noticed, and this is actually, I kind of liked this. She notices the tombstone. She's like, how'd that woman end up buried in there? She killed two of her husbands.
And she was a whore, too.
Yeah. Like, no, it was a whore. And it's like, oh, a whole lot of sinners in there, huh?
Yeah, and so the Crooked Man's like, hey, we can raise all these sinners.
So they go to raise the dead, and
the dead are like generic zombie strength
so
versus
lame.
Hellboy. I'm like,
so
how does this
lame.
present a threat? And it's just like, oh, I get it. They wanted to show Hellboy using his gun.
Yeah, no,
the whole movie, he can't use his gun.
He crushes that one woman's face.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, got it. He's got a giant stone arm. He should just be punching through these guys nonstop. But I don't think they had the budget for it. They definitely didn't have fight choreography for it. His costume is so bad he probably couldn't move that much. You know,
They put like abs on his boobs.
dude. It is jarringly bad. And you know what? I've been watching The Penguin on HBO Max.
He has abs on his boobs.
And he's got hair everywhere. But Colin Farrell,
It's called feathers.
yeah, cheerfully withdrawn. But Colin Farrell in his like giant fat suit playing Oswald Cobblepot looks more realistic than like this Hellboy thing, which is, by the way, not even supposed to look super realistic, but it doesn't move proper. Like you see like his abs like fold, like he's wearing like just like, oh, it's so bad.
Jack Black in Tropic Thunder in the Fatties Fart 2 trailer looks better than this. And he plays like 8 fat characters.
Yeah. No, it's just if this was like the pilot for like a show or something, I could understand this. Like if this was
I
like,
would give it a second episode.
right, if this was proof concept and it ended with the siege of the house and he kills the when they use the consecrated shovel to hit the crooked man, that if that had killed him and that had been the end of the thing, and they were like, all right, well, we still got that spider monster out there. Better go looking. And it like goes to like credits or something like that. And like, okay, so they got to still hunt for it. It would have been like it would have felt like, you know, like in anime, like the first 3 episodes are usually kind of like one story or,
Right.
you know, you don't got to get it all done in one. It's like, oh, there's still a mystery here. You know, they still.
So yeah, I agree. If it were a TV show, I would watch a second episode.
I would have.
As long as it was formatted a little better. And here's another
Yeah.
thing about it though, is
Because it also could have been shorter, so we wouldn't have need countless times. How many scenes of just people being thrown through the air do we need to watch in one movie?
well, and then okay, so these witches have telekinetic powers, you know, typically. They can make you hallucinate because
Yes.
he goes and sees his mom burning or
More
trying
than
to sleep
once.
and then burning.
Yeah, more than
And he
once.
gets like sent to these visions. And then we get these like I don't know, so these witches have telekinetic powers and they can make him hallucinate. And it's just like what threat does he have? He's also vulnerable to a witch snake.
Yeah,
So, like, some
I didn't
kind of
quite
magic snake
That witch snake is so
penetrates
weird.
his flesh.
Yeah.
He gets his flesh penetrated by iron bars. Granted, they were traveling. The terrible CJ. When they went to pick up, they like bent them in
Yeah.
like blender
Yeah,
software
it was
into
not
it, and then
great.
went phew, and those penetrated his flesh. And I'm like, if Hellboy only has a strong arm
Yeah.
and a gun and is easily wounded, how is he a superhero?
Yeah, they
Like, it doesn't make sense to me.
yeah they did not do a very good job explaining, like, just like especially when you compare it to like the first Guillermo del Toro Hellboy. You know so much more. You know so much more about the character. You know his personality. When he makes his quips, they're not like he's not just the quips in this are literally him
no
just.
quips.
He's just like saying stuff like, and it's like what?
He's just smoking
Oh my
every time he's on
God.
screen.
He smokes
He
more
says
than we
3
do.
words and goes, and it's just like, oh, come
Yeah.
on. Yeah, like the smoking is just ridiculous. It's like, okay, I'm not saying anything. What do I do? Well, we'll keep the camera on you and you can
I gotta
smoke.
use my hands.
Yeah, and it's, what do I do with my hands? Cigarette, please. And says the actor. He's like, I like smoking. No, but the actor's face did not fit the costume.
No.
I'm not saying he did a bad job or anything, but
It's hard
did-
to act
it wasn't-
under all that makeup,
It wasn't
admittedly.
directed well. I often
Right.
say there's not really many bad actors. I think there's undirectable actors where like the director will say, I need you to do this specifically. And the
Right.
actor goes, I can show that emotion. And then they're just like, pfft.
Yeah, this really felt like a couple times like you want to do a second take here, and they're like no budget for it. Keep moving. Which again, like if it was like a TV show, because it looks like a TV show.
Yeah.
If it was a TV show, I'd be a lot more forgiving. I'd be like, okay, well, you know what? They spent a little bit of money trying to get their proof of concept out there, and if that's what this was, I would probably be more favorable to it.
Pilot
realistically.
specifically, yeah,
Yeah,
because
like a
those are
pilot.
often rough.
Yeah.
But the acting, like the side characters and some of the main characters, I literally could not understand some of the Appalachian like accents.
I probably
Like,
should have put on subtitles.
Probably we
Yeah.
had to for the Amy Winehouse movie.
But
But like Cora, I could not understand Cora.
Salt of the day, Murs.
She's like trying to explain something to Tom, and I'm like, what? And like the first people he meet, I'm like, what? Like, I'm not trying to be offensive to accents, but those accents were
They were tough for you, dude.
maybe
Yeah.
they were accurate, but I couldn't do it.
No, it's all right. You don't want to be offensive. I just got done making fun. I just did the making fun of the British there. Oi there, oi,
We're allowed to make fun of the British. Oh, a coffee! Oh, it's more than tepid.
Tepid. So, yeah, the siege of the church at least had like some purpose and narrative, but it turns out the church is built on ancient mines where a bunch of people had died, and they think if you put a church on top of a place where so much death happened, it would seal in the evil.
Or like help consecrate the ground.
Yeah, it would seal in evil is what he said. Because remember then the blind priest is like, now we go down Satan's butthole or something like
but
that.
the mines are so long, so you have this
like,
one
what?
section.
That's not how this works.
Maybe you'd cut off a piece of it.
Yeah, it's just.
But then it gets eaten by crows, and then she turns into a magic.
And then she's a mage now because she was trying to study witchcraft. Yeah.
Think of your worst memory. I thought it would have been cool if it had been an internment camp. Like they could have at least.
We could assume it is.
I think we can't.
We
want it to be, but they had no context.
That's true. So I would say the inference, watching the mom get pulled away by the two white guys.
Were they white?
Yes, I'm pretty sure they were. Well, because she speaks perfect English as well, so they took
White
the mom
guys
away.
do it all.
Well, I mean, it would have been accurate for the time period.
Oh yeah,
you know. So it's like, yeah, like a farewell to Manzanar. You know, like that. Yeah, but I think the implication enough was there that we could see it.
But then the climax of the movie is.
There is no climax to the movie.
There is.
He throws an old man
house.
down the stairs. Several times he throws the old man down the stairs.
Well, he hallucinates.
His mom, yeah.
And then he gets thrown across the house, and then Tom comes up with his lucky cat bone and uses the power the Crooked Man had given him to stop the Crooked Man.
Yeah, I don't understand. Like,
it shouldn't be that. Well, maybe he was the Crooked Man's familiar, and they can take power from each other.
But he's the only one who's ever been able to do this. The
or the only one who's ever tried to.
He's the only one. So as powerful as the Crooked Man is implied to be, he can't step foot out of like Appalachia. So like if he had just never gone back home, he would just like have his lucky bone that protected him during the war. Like he never mentioned being like drawn back home or called back home for any purpose.
I just wanted to see his mom.
Or maybe he was just like the war had shook him so much, and then but like when he left, he was much younger than when he came back. So it's like, how long were you gone? Like, is there?
Well, he probably left right after the Crooked Man thing.
He did. He ran, but it's like.
But he came back for his mom. So.
Yeah, but it's what 1959.
Yeah.
How long ago was he a child when I don't think they told us when
They said he's so much older, but he looked 15, 16, 17.
Yeah, I don't know. So even if like you're saying it was like, let's say it's another like 10, 15 years, because this guy's he's not like in his young 20s, I don't think.
No.
So I don't know. The timeline on it is weird. The ability to use the magic is weird.
We don't understand Hellboy's past. His mom is just a witch, and his dad is a crow.
Well, that was the form of the beast, remember? The beast takes many forms. But they kind of implied
that the Crooked Man was that beast.
I think they meant Satan.
I know, but they kind of implied it was the Crooked Man. They didn't explain well who his dad was.
Because the Crooked Man uses crows throughout the whole movie.
Right, and then it shows a crow standing over her, trapping her.
And yeah, I don't know. I really don't know. They don't explain it.
I don't think it was supposed to be him. It has to be Satan or something. But so in this movie, Hellboy really doesn't have powers. He doesn't have personality.
Everybody knows who he is, though, so nobody's offended to see him. Like they're like, "Oh, you're that guy," because that one, the hillbilly
You're that guy from the UN.
You're the guy from the UN. He's like, UN, huh?"
I seen him once on the cover of Life magazine.
United Nations.
Like, and he kind of like smirks at it. So that's when you and I were like, "Oh, they probably just got the acronym for BPRD
That's
wrong."
when you said it, and I'm like, "Well, he has to go to different countries."
Maybe he does work with the UN from time to time. But Tom is surprisingly knowledgeable in all things Hellboy. Like, so you read that in the, what did Hellboy say? You read that in a magazine?
Right.
Like, yeah, they read it in, like, Life.
Maybe.
I seen him once on the cover of Life magazine.
Times the end of the year.
I mean,
Hellboy,
honestly.
And now he's transporting a spider. How far he's fallen.
But if he can get penetrated by, like, iron rods, then artillery or, like, an armor-piercing bullet, that's gonna kill, like,
maybe he's like
weak
Superman.
as fuck.
Maybe it's like a Superman thing and he's just weak to magic, and because they used magic to throw the rods at him, maybe it was magic. But like then he's still useless because he only fights magic things.
Against him. I want to see him fight crap.
Yeah, I know.
And not like zombies that don't even have super strength.
Dude, he wasted so many bullets on those.
Yeah, no.
It's so dumb.
And he's just like punch, kick. Yeah. It's all in the mind.
It's all in the mind. Yeah, I know. He should have just been like, he should have been fisting him to death.
Yeah, so I mean, the acting was
Yeah,
subpar.
this is not a good
The
movie.
CGI is subpar.
That's $20 I'm
the
never getting back.
costumes are subpar. So is Harley Quinn and the inevitable birds of fucking the Joker or whatever the hell you bought.
Oh God, I forgot
spent
about
25
that.
bucks on that.
I think it was only 20.
No.
Was it 25?
Yeah.
Ooh.
And so the CGI, the acting, the characters don't get any depth. The dialogue isn't punchy or witty.
Trash.
There's one actor that I think is good, and that's
Yeah,
Tom. And
Tom
fortunately,
did
he's a
fine.
main character.
Yeah,
The
no.
Crooked Man is just kind of like, he acts like Linda Blair in The Exorcist when she's possessed.
You know,
And Sherry Moon Zombie's in there.
yeah,
as-
it's not a great movie.
No, it was subpar in every, like the script clearly wasn't written well.
No, it really wasn't. And again, I think that's one of the problems is the people making the movie. I'm pretty sure they had a lot more familiarity with what they were putting on camera, and it just didn't translate. At least I'm going to give them the benefit of the doubt because this thing is so patched together, piecemeal, scattershot that
I'm sure that Mike Mignola had he had the storyboard in his
Yeah.
mind probably, and in the context of Hellboy comics, I bet it made perfect sense to him. Like, I'm not trying to talk crap on the people that made this movie.
No,
but they were not.
it's just
I don't know if they were super experienced.
I don't know either.
I feel like they weren't.
Oh, the director was one of the guys who directed. He was part of the team that did Crank, and he did the Nicolas Cage and Gina Gershon movie Mom and Dad, I think, as well, which I've never seen. So he's done stuff.
Huh.
Yeah, and you know it's funny because you take a look at a movie like Crank, which is ridiculous, and it's nonstop, right? It is
Yeah.
just constantly going. It
Yeah.
has so much momentum, so much like character and comedy and action sequences, right? This movie has no momentum,
Yeah.
no character, no comedy, and like barely action sequences. It is like the opposite. It is the antithesis of Crank. You know, Crank was watchable.
I'm going to say, when it comes to action sequences, hire a choreographer with experience.
Yep.
Go to Hong Kong and fucking hire a choreographer.
Yeah.
Go hire Sammo Hung, please. Like,
Yeah, what's he doing these days?
probably being 75 years old
Yeah,
and
but still.
suffering from years of obesity.
I mean, not for nothing. Like, just any kind of fight choreography, except for like they hired wire people. Like, they must have had like a wire team because everybody ends up in the air.
Yeah.
Everybody's in the air. Everybody's flipping through the air. And oh God, real quick to put a bow on this because I don't want to talk about this too much longer because it's disturbing me how like now trying to remember things. When his partner there, what was her name? Yeah, was it like Boone?
We'll go with that.
Boone soon or something like
It was
that.
Bones from the TV show Bones.
So, anyways, she is like, "What is happening?
What's happening?
This can't be happening. It's not real." Like, she sees a witch levitate, and he's like, "That's not right.
This can't be real.
That's not supposed to. You're traveling with Hellboy. You just fought a giant spider that you said, quote, had temporal and gravitational powers. It's
Which
gnarly.
it didn't.
It didn't. It just literally gets bigger and smaller. I don't think they knew what they meant, what they were saying. They had no fucking clue.
Don't let it crawl up your butthole.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Could you imagine that? Just spiders coming out. Like,
Spider legs.
gives a whole new terms of the spider legs, if you know what I'm meaning. And it's when your pubic hair comes out from your like bikini line. At least it used to mean that.
I actually have that problem sometimes.
Yeah, same with the testicles, but that's a different thing. So,
That's on purpose.
yeah. But anyways, every time she sees something supernatural, right? Every time she's like, this isn't real. How can this be happening? Yeah, she's trying to learn witchcraft, and she travels with Hellboy.
Yeah.
And she's watching everything. It's like this. They do like an artificial demon night kind of sequence, right? It's like now it's forever dark kind of thing, right?
Right.
And so she's like, but that's not how it works. The
It's
Earth's rotation in the sun. That's not how it works. It's like you just watched a woman fly away and a horse turn into a man. It's like, stop it, you silly girl, stop it.
That's not possible.
Oh, one other plus, since I did talk about the actors earlier, and I said that Tom was pretty good. The Black Priest did a great job, I think.
He was
he had a couple over-the-top
hammy.
lines.
So hammy.
But at the same time, his character
Is an eccentric.
worked. He's an eccentric blind priest who doesn't,
Who had a thing for young ladies.
the demon girl who's talking through like the crooked man
Yeah.
told him that, and who
knows?
Your mother sucks cocks in hell.
Yeah,
so when
yeah, all
she's
that
saying you
perversion
used to
and stuff.
stare at me in church, that could be just be her trying to get in his head.
Yeah.
Or him, it was crooked man. But
And that was the murderer one, too. That wasn't even the whore one. because that was the first one they threw.
Well, I think
When
I think they said she killed her husbands in order to bang people or something.
So this is the best. Because when you see like they're raising the dead, you're like, okay, here comes our Night of the Living Dead siege. No, they just throw her fucking coffin through the front door.
Which was kind of awesome. They throw the coffin through the front door and it starts opening. And meanwhile, Hellboy's just like, huh.
Yeah, no, he's like,
The zombie starts approaching the priest, saying all this shit, and he's like, huh. It's like 20 seconds where he would just be like,
you know, I take it back. I do recommend this, but turn it into a drinking game where every time Hellboy can intercede to prevent something bad from happening, he just goes, huh. Yeah, drink every time he has a stupid look on his face like, well, that's new. Like, it's like, stop. It's like, you're going to get hammered. Huh. God, that movie was a waste of our time. Oh, you know what? I forgot to mention something important. I like to start these videos by saying what it is we're smoking today. And we are smoking Rocky Patel Edges. And they're very tasty.
they're good, but buy another brand.
We buy Rocky Patels often go on sale.
Yeah,
And they're good. They're good to hand out to guests. I'm not giving you like an Oliva V, you know. Those are for me. But
I took 5 before I left last time. He was so drunk.
shut up!